Empire Mixtapes, not for the weak-hearted.
Welcome to Two Left Fielders. I am your host, Harry Kassal, in sunny South Florida. Joining me, as always, is G-Mart.
Garrett Martin out here from gray, gloomy Louisville, Kentucky.
How you doing today, Garrett?
I'm living life, bro. How about yourself? I know you're back home, South Florida. I hope you've been enjoying the beach. I saw your little Instagram post. It said, what, life is sand and you're just the beach? I don't really know what that...
Life is a sand. I'm just playing at a beach. A fun take on some Lil Wayne lyrics for you.
What's new?
Miami's cool, man, but I was at a bar the other day, last night, and they played a mix between Michael Jackson and Pitbull. So they played like the beat for Black and White, so it was like da na 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 da na na na, and then over that was like da na na da 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 na da da na 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 expletive, and it's weird, man. I don't know if like they just put Pitbull and everything down here, but I feel like mixing Michael Jackson into a song is like disrespectful.
You're ridiculous, son. That's the king of pop. You're going to say he shouldn't be mixed in with Pitbull. I mean, I know...
You got to respect him. That's what I'm saying.
He's
I'm
Mr.
saying
305.
You can't disrespect Michael Jackson like that.
I get it. It's Mr. 305. He wanted nothing but, locals bopping, especially Pitbull. He's a legend of your region, but the king of pop, I mean, I think it's appropriate to play him at just about any time, at any club, in my opinion.
Where does it stop, though? Like, what is this? Like, could you do Prince? Would Prince be, I only want to see you underneath that perp.
I'd say it's up to the DJ's personal discretion. I think you're getting a little carried away. I know you're a South Florida man yourself, so you're offended, but, I really don't think it's that big a deal, Harry. I think, the DJ's trying to make a little artistic twist on the matter. It's really not that big a deal.
I wasn't a fan.
Regardless, anyway, as we move on from that ridiculous subject, I know you were a little unhappy with some of the criticism we got last week regarding your bold prediction.
Yes. Someone said that Jason Tatum being an all-star by the time he's 23 isn't a bold enough prediction, but I mean 23, he was an all-star at 23. So you want bolder predictions? I'm here. I'm going to give you bolder predictions because we're out of left field. Should be out of right field because no one knows who we are. Giancarlo Stanton. Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons will not be on the same team within 4 years. Arizona will win a title that will ultimately be stripped from them if Jacksonville is ballsy enough to sign one of the Minnesota quarterbacks. They will definitely win the Super Bowl. The Marlins will still be worse than some minor league teams, and our podcast will be number one in the nation with 62 views.
If we had 62 views on the next one, what's next? 6.2 million? I mean, I think we're on the up and up, Harry.
I think, we're on the up and up.
I don't think it's that bold to say we'll be a top podcast possibly on Earth, maybe in history. We'll see.
Take that, Stephen A.
Ridiculous. But, I mean, I felt like we had a pretty good, response from the people last week. We definitely want to look to try and get our stuff on a streaming service so the people could subscribe to our page. But, overall, I think we did great on our first episode.
We can stop patting ourselves on the back and we start talking about sports, right? Is that applicable? Can we do that?
Fair enough. What you got?
I had a new idea for the NBA draft. So there's a lot of problems right now with tanking where Mark Cuban and Chicago are being fined insane amounts of money, $600,000 and $200,000 respectively. And I just had an idea. So I think, first of all, the East and West should be eliminated. The best 16 teams should make the playoffs, and the one seed should play the 16 seed, 2 should play 15, et cetera, et cetera. And then whoever the 17th best team is, that team should get the first overall pick, and then 18, 19. Because this way, if you're the worst team in the league, you don't get the first pick. It still keeps the games competitive. I don't really like that East and West thing, because right now there are 2 teams in the West that are out of the playoff picture, but they're 5 games over 500, and Detroit might sneak into the playoffs, and they're terrible.
I agree. I mean, I think at this point it's been evident for the last number of years. Last 10 years, really. The East has been far inferior to the West, and I think there have been, every year we see teams where they're left out of the playoffs in the West, and had they been in the East, they would have been in a 4 or 5 seed. So, I think it's definitely time that, we address the playoff seeding. I know Commissioner Silver, the GOAT that he is, he's trying to, make changes, make waves in the league. As we mentioned last time, he wants to bring gambling to the league. But I think fixing the playoff seeds will be a big step in the right direction, because at the end of the day, with the charter flights, things of that nature these days, it's not a big deal that it could end up being an all-West finals. I mean, because I think it's pretty clear to everybody that this year the two best teams are the Golden State Warriors and the Houston Rockets. Now,
and they should play in the finals.
They should.
I mean, play each other in the finals. It doesn't make sense that the finals or the Western Conference Finals are going to have better ratings than the finals, because I don't want to see Golden State beat the Cavs again, but I kind of want to see Houston take Golden State to 7.
To say the least. And you know what? At this point in time, I think it's a bit dodgy to say that the Cavs will even be in the finals. And at that point, we'd have a young...
I'm not buying it. And people on ESPN, they're just looking for ratings. They'll tell you that Toronto is they're different, and they've moved their bench, and DeRozan is a different kind of player. They're not. Every year around this time, people try to tell me that Toronto is better than they actually are. And then, a month and a half comes by and they lose in the first or second round of the playoffs. I'm not about it.
Look, I'm far from being sold on DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry from making a playoff run, but I think the Celtics are somebody we're going to really have to look at, because, I mean, Kyrie Irving was a big piece of that Cavs team. Not having him on the squad this year, the Celtics are young guns up and running. I mean, I think other than the first game that Cleveland had all the newcomers, the Celtics, they handled the Cavaliers this year thus far. So, I mean, there's a lot to, that'll shake out in the East. But
I think the Celtics, as you pointed out, are young, and I think that's really going to hinder them. I don't think people like Jaylen Brown are going to be able to make great strides in the postseason, because it's a different game, and everyone plays harder. And I don't know if Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are necessarily ready for that kind of responsibility.
I got you. Fair enough. Well, I think, I want to ask Jerry Jones what he thinks on the matter. We're talking about the draft, things of that nature. What's Jerry's got to say?
Yes, sir. Back, this Jerry Jones, and you're a Dallas Cowboy. How you doing?
All right, sorry. There's really no reason for me to be playing that quote, but I just, every episode I'm going to find a way to get Jerry involved. It's a lewd quote. I enjoy it. My apologies. I just had to get it in there. Moving on to other...
Jerry was just fined $2 million.
He was fined by the league, and I know he was Arthur
Fist.
Fist.
A lot of Johnny Walker Blue.
He had his fist clenched like Arthur whenever he had to pay up his buddy Roger Goodell. He said, look, you're going to have to pay me for the legal fines. As Jerry said, he was quoted as saying, if you thought Bob Kraft went after you, I'll make Bob Kraft look like an expletive. He was referring to, another word for a cat, you could say. So I know Jerry was not happy having to pay off that fine. So, there's our Jerry Jones clip of the week. As we move on to other topics, I was scrolling through social media. Growing up, I was a big baseball fan. Everybody loved the home run chase between Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, Ken Griffey Jr., and I see a picture of Sammy Sosa, and I'm like, well, Sammy, what's up here? So I don't know if anybody else has seen what Sammy's looking like these days, but he's taking a bit of a Michael Jackson route. He's more of a Sam Sosa now. He's got a bit of
Google picture of Sammy Sosa if you haven't seen it. There's a picture of him wearing a cowboy hat. Yeah. It's so weird, because I remember Sammy Sosa he was like the dark man that ran around the bases holding an American flag.
Yes. Yes. Now, instead of doing that little crow hop after the home run, it looks like he's about to start doing a moonwalk down to first base.
Damn.
He's a white Sammy Sosa now. I'm a little shook when I see Sammy. It's an interesting approach he's taken.
White Sammy Sosa sounds like a rap name.
It does. The white Sammy Sosa. Ridiculous.
This is Macklemore opening for white Sammy Sosa.
Sticking with baseball, I know this week, I'm not really the biggest baseball fan, but I did notice that Russell Wilson, Seattle Seahawks quarterback, he's a great baseball player. He was drafted by the Rangers a number of years ago. His rights were traded to the Yankees. He pinch hit for Aaron Judge, one of the best hitters in MLB. I'd say that's as ridiculous as throwing the ball on the 1-yard line with Marshawn Lynch in the backfield.
Did they do that? Did that happen? That happened?
It might have happened. It might have cost the Legion of Boom 2 straight, Super Bowls, but that's beside the point. Ridiculous. Well, another thing, we mentioned we've talked a little bit about basketball. I want to talk about Sean Miller and denying his $100,000 funneling payment to DeAndre Ayton. I know we talked last week that Sean was put on administrative leave. He's since been brought back. He's coaching Arizona. He's going to attempt to lead them through March Madness. They'll likely fizzle out around the Sweet 16 or Elite 8, as he's done every year at Arizona. Wow. He read a statement from his lawyer talking about, I have never, he looked down, he shuffled, he was stumbling over his words. I have never intentionally. I've never paid. I mean, it was at this point. It's like, come on, Sean. We know you did it. You're just fighting for your job. But I will say he's got a great agent. In his contract. If he's fired with cause, he gets paid more than if he's fired without cause. So, I don't know. His people are up to something good. I think Sean, at this point, he's going to get paid no matter what. But, at this point, it's getting ridiculous, all this stuff that's happening with college basketball.
I don't understand what makes, when is it okay for a coach to step down? Because you see what's happening, the Michigan State doctor, the president of the university had to step down, and Izzo was out there, and he's just like, nah, I'm gonna stay here. So when is it appropriate or not appropriate? Because you see there's a scandal at North Carolina, and he didn't step down. So what kind of makes it okay for that guy to step down?
I'm not really sure. I get a little emotional talking about this.
It seems arbitrary, right? That's my point, is that, Rick Pitino isn't there anymore, but Izzo is. And it's weird.
Too soon, Harry. I'm really shook over Coach Pitino being unrightfully fired. He was quoted as saying this week, every night he goes to bed, and he's upset with the U.S. Attorney General, and he's upset with the Board of Traders at the University of Louisville. So,
He should be upset with that tattoo artist.
Oh, no. Too soon. Moving on.
The Trump story of the week. Because as I said last week, if Jimmy Kimmel can make all this money talking about Trump, then so can we.
The president, I don't know if you guys have seen, the president's being sued by an adult film star, a porn star, if you will, Miss Stormy Daniels. Trump has come out. He's denied these allegations. There was a hush agreement signed between them. It was his alter ego was David Dennison. I mean, he's taking. You know what's really interesting, Harry? I see him taking one out of the Clinton playbook. Let's see what this is really taking me back. This is what Trump is really doing now.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Yeah, I mean, all that bashing of the Clintons, and now he's taking one directly out of their playbook. He did not have sexual relations with that woman. I mean, at this point, it's an expletive show every week. What is Trump going to do now? Is he going to be tweeting about
Wait, I have a real question. We should put this on our Twitter poll. Do you think that if Tom Izzo was being sued by a porn star, that he would leave Michigan State?
I think he would. I think most people in any job.
If Tom Izzo gets fired for that, why is Trump still the president?
I mean, it's pretty ridiculous. I mean,
wild.
It's a circus what's going on with this administration. But, like you said, Jimmy Kimmel's making money off these ridiculous stories, so I feel like it's more than appropriate for us to highlight. I mean, he is the president of the United States. Him being sued by a porn star, it's up to us to, feed that news to the people.
Enough about Trump's wife.
Oh, no.
I want to talk about Soupgate. That's what I'm going to call it.
No. JR?
J.R. Smith threw soup at his assistant coach, and I have so many questions. The first question I had, and I actually tweeted, AJ Wojnarowski, I tweeted at him, and I said, what kind of soup was it? He didn't respond to me, but he responded on the Dan Le Batard show, going out and saying that it was chicken tortilla soup. And I still have 1,000 more questions. What possesses you to throw soup at someone?
Was it in a saucer? Was it in a bowl? And also, I was of the mindset, it came out, it was chicken tortilla soup. I thought it was more of a broccoli cheddar, so
I'm more of a broccoli cheddar.
Yeah, I was figuring he got...
Did I get in a bread bowl? Did he throw a bread bowl? I've got questions.
And ironically enough, Supreme by Louis Vuitton, they released a new NBA line this week with J.R. Smith as the representative, so I think it's safe to call that brand now Supreme. If you get me, if you catch my drift there, I think it was.
Man.
I think it was
on to the next one. That was awful.
Ridiculous.
Of course, it would really, it would be insensitive if us on the podcast didn't say rest in peace to Wesley Johnson
and his ankles. They're gone. I mean, Wesley his career, he might as well go ahead and retire.
For those of you that didn't see, James Harden crossed up Wesley Johnson, and then as he was on the floor, both of them laughed, and then James Harden hit a three in his face. It's not really in his face because he was on the floor.
I mean, Harden took his hand off the ball.
I feel you, Wesley Johnson. What do you do besides laugh? What do you do? You're on the floor.
James Harden said it best. The Rockets are just out there hooping and swagging and hooping. They're on another level
unless they're playing Toronto.
Oh, gosh. Where they lose that 17-game win streak, I mean, applaud to them.
And it's over. Also, applause to Memphis for a 17-game losing streak.
No one's talking about them tanking.
Yeah, where's their fine? Silver.
That's what they get for getting rid of Coach Fizz. 17
Take
straight
that for data.
17 straight losses. Take that for data. Not gonna rook us. You're gonna need some new rooks, Memphis. Come on.
You want to take this next story?
I mean, what was it? The other night, was it in Atlanta? The Warriors were playing against the Atlanta Hawks, and as the game ended, we got Quavo, Honcho. We shouted him out last week, Amigos. He's sitting courtside, and Kevin Durant, took his jersey off. He went over there to give it to Quavo, and the announcer, for whatever reason, she had no idea who Quavo was. She said some lucky fan, gets the Kevin Durant.
And then she was told that he was part of Migos, and she's a young person. She should know who Migos is, and she was like, "Oh right, Quavo." She gave it to Quavo.
Quavo! Oh no! Quavo.
You gotta know who that is.
Ridiculous.
We don't have rights to that sound, so we can't play it.
No. On to the next story.
Garrett and I both attended our alma mater senior days. G, of course, at Louisville, me at Florida. I need to know, how do you lose when you have the ball with 4 points with a second left?
I mean, it's
like a riddle.
We're over here. We had the lead on number 1 Virginia the whole game. I'm cheering, clapping. With 4 seconds left, we're up by 4 points. I'm high-fiving everyone. We beat the number 1 team. We won. Darius Perry had the audacity to foul the three-point shooter. They make the first 2 free throws. There's a lane violation. Louisville travels. Virginia inbounds it, buries a 3, game over. I mean, it was truly baffling.
The refs had money on Virginia.
The refs had big money on Virginia. I threw up in the Yum Center. Not from the KFC I'd eaten at halftime, but for the result of the game. It was a pretty sickening result, and you know what? I think it's a quintessential way to end our season at home. It's been a rough year to be a Louisville Cardinal, and we're going to be squarely on the bubble heading into Selection Sunday tomorrow, so it'll be interesting to see how this all pans out. On another note, your experience was far more exciting. I tuned in.
Speaking of teams not on the bubble,
no.
Florida played Kentucky, and we demolished Kentucky. Chioza, our point guard, has just north of 550 assists for his career. It was a big night, his last night playing in the O'Connell Center. I was actually working the game. I was working security. I had to make sure that none of the fans went on the floor, and the only way to do that is to sit on the floor. So I'm sitting right behind Coach Mike White, right behind him, and ask me how close I was to taking a knee for that.
I saw you, Harry. Every time they panned over, I see you hands in the air. I mean, you got a lot of FaceTime on national television. I was
on national television, and I was so close to taking a knee. I really was.
It was great press for the show, Harry. I appreciate you getting such a close access. Now, had you taken a knee, you might have been at risk for losing your job working at the University of Florida. But nonetheless, I thought it was great press. Well
if
done.
Kaepernick can lose his job trying to build awareness, then I think I can do the same thing.
It's the least you could do, Harry.
It's the least I can do.
In other news, the NFL Combine was this past week. There was a lot of big stories coming out of there.
Shaquem Griffin.
This guy. One hand. He showed out.
20 reps of the NFL minimum, 225 pounds.
I mean, he had a prosthetic hand on there. He busted out 20 reps. This guy came out, ran a 4.3840.
Well, I think we can be the 4.3840. He didn't have that other hand.
Oh no, Harry!
Which I'm sure a lot of you know. It's a hand weighs a lot.
Give me a break, Harry. This man came out there and turned on the burners. He ran a 4.38. I mean, it was impressive. He's an inspiration to a lot of people. This guy. He's got one hand. He's going to be likely drafted in the second or third round of the NFL draft. He's defined the limitations of a disability he was born with, it's pretty inspirational.
But all jokes aside, he ran a 40 faster than anyone at that position for over the last 10 years, and he got one meeting with an NFL team. How?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, he had an impressive career at Central
How
Florida.
Are the Seahawks the only one that want to draft this guy?
I mean, if he
had two hands, he'd be a top 10 pick.
Yeah,
doesn't make sense.
No doubt. Maybe is he gonna wear the club every game in the NFL? I mean, that's for another discussion. But it'd be interesting to see where Shaquem Griffin goes.
I would try to get one of those like Inspector Gadget hands, so he could turn into stuff.
I was hoping more like a Captain Hook type deal, but I don't know.
Oh, that'd be cool. But you might deflate the ball. So maybe you'll go to the Pats.
Yeah.
Orlando Brown ran a 5.8640. My question for you, G-Mart, the legend, can you run a 5.8640?
Oh, come on, Harry. I got a 5.4, 5.3 in me easily. Put on my jumpsuit. I might cut one of my hands off. I'll go out there and turn on the burners. I'll run a 5.3 easy, Harry. I think you and I need to get a race lined up. That's what I think.
We live in 2 different states.
Fair enough.
We're gonna live stream this race. Maybe we could do it like a hologram, like Tupac, like I'll run one, and I have no idea how holograms work.
Well, tomorrow's Selection Sunday. It would be of our best interest to make a selection, a little bit of a tournament prediction. Go ahead, Harry. Who you got winning the whole thing? I know you mentioned earlier you think Arizona
Golden State
could.
Warriors.
Oh, oh no! You think the Warriors are taking it?
It's Duke, right? It's like Duke or North Carolina, or it doesn't matter. I actually think if I'm going to make a real prediction, I like Michigan State. I think Michigan State has a lot of talent. I think that, if all of this, with Izzo, simmers down and they can just focus on basketball, they're really good. They have 2 players that are possibly going to go in the lottery next year, and I'm going to go with Michigan State. What about you?
Well, I'm going to keep it biased here. If Louisville sneaks in off the bubble, I see us making a Cinderella run.
Get out of here. You notice how I didn't pick Florida on purpose? I didn't pick Florida because I want to give the people what they want.
Let me finish, Harry. I think we're going to sneak in, and we lost our championship banner this year, and I think we're going to replace it with the NIT championship banner this year. I think that's where we're at. On a serious note, I think I like Duke to take it all. Marvin Bagley's been playing well. They got Grayson Allen. I mean, as much as everybody hates him, he's a modern-day Christian Laettner.
Grayson Allen be tripping.
You're ridiculous. I think Duke's going to make a run. I think Coach K is going to take home another championship, and I think that's where we're at now.
And that's the show for this week, guys. Personally, I thought it would be super hilarious. I've never seen any other podcast do this. I want to end with a Yelp review because Yelp is hilarious. For those of you that don't know Yelp, people write reviews for restaurants. The good reviews aren't funny, but the bad reviews are hilarious. So this is courtesy of Hurricane Grill and Wings in Boca Raton, Florida. This review comes to us from Donatello A. If you're going to hire people to fit every redneck stereotype, at least make decent barbecue food to go along with it. The food was gross, and the chicken I ordered wasn't even close to half a breast, more like 6 ounce. Tiny little chicken breast and crappy pulled pork for $17. Never again. I made them take it back. Take that for data. Thank you, Donatello.
I think that's a great way to end the show, Harry. 1-star Yelp review. I'll be sure not to go eat there.
My girlfriend works there.
Oh, no. So you'll be there tomorrow. You'll be there tonight getting takeout.
You're going to be a Dallas Cowboy.
Listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman.